Hey everyone, welcome back to the Grit Daily Like a Boss podcast. We're always excited to bring you new guests from all over the world. Today it's from San Francisco. We've got Consuelo Valverde, and she is the founder and managing partner of SV Latam Capital. She's a serial entrepreneur, and she's recently entered the foray of venture capital. High STEM gal here. She's an electrical engineer by trade with a master's in computer science. So we're going to get into all kinds of tips for women in STEM. Here's what's really interesting. At 21, she founded her first tech company, which was in computer manufacturing. Since then, she's gone on to build quite an impressive portfolio in fintech investments, one of them being Clip, which enables transactions to happen right at the point of sale. So let's turn things over. Hello, Consuelo.
Hi, Loralyn. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, I'm going to have to do a proper greeting. So I'm going to say, bienvenidos, Consuelo. Estamos muy emocionados de que estés aquí. Nuestros oyentes tienen suerte hoy.
That's great. That's a great welcome. Yeah.
Well, we are very excited to hear from you. So maybe tell us a little bit about what's going on with respect to the efforts that you have in SV Latam Capital and your focus on trying to bring in sustainability, organization, and really solving all of these difficult problems that our planet is facing. Tell us a little bit about SV Latam Capital.
Hi. Yes, I founded SV Latam Capital in 2013 in San Francisco to be able to invest in science and technology-enabled startups that were looking to transform society's environment and health on a global scale. The Latam part of our name, that's our background. That's where I come from. And also we invest in Latin American entrepreneurs or Latin American markets or in companies where we can provide value because of our background.
And tell us a little bit about, I'm curious, about the switch that you had to make from going from serial entrepreneur to the other side of the table as a venture capital. What was that transition like?
Yes, I started my professional career as an entrepreneur. Like you said, founding that first tech company when I was out of college because I couldn't get a job when I moved back to Mexico from the US. I did go to several job interviews, but the job postings on the newspapers were specifically for, men aged 25 years and older. So I obviously didn't fit that criteria. I did get interviews, but I never got a job. So, my dad and other people were suggesting, why didn't I get into software engineering or some other areas where it could be more possible to get a job? And why should I switch just because I'm not a guy? And that made me create, my first tech company. I basically had to create my own job. So I was very fortunate to start from that angle, being an entrepreneur. And at some point, I also participated and worked at the Mexican government. Later on, while I was meeting with some of the scientists and I saw the potential there was in Mexico, in particular, one conversation I could even pinpoint my curiosity or, that call I got into venture was meeting some of these brilliant scientists in Mexico and seeing the potential that existed, but there were several pieces lacking in the ecosystem. And one of those pieces was no doubt venture capital. So I thought, one day I wanted to be on the other side of the table.
So two questions that raises. One, let's deal with the first one. What do you notice that's different amongst the young entrepreneurs that are coming up today versus the cohort that you were a part of several years ago when you started your journey?
Well, I think some of the traits are, they are the same. We all want to change the world and, we all want to create value and make a difference. Probably now that is more common than when I started the manufacturing company back in Mexico. Now you can see a lot more entrepreneurs wanting to get into tech and be venture backed, and especially the pandemic, what it has caused is there's more access. Anyone can get access to a venture capitalist. I mean, in theory, they don't have to travel to Mexico City or San Francisco or New York or Chicago. You can get a virtual meeting, and it has removed barriers also to many entrepreneurs, although there are obviously many inequalities that exist, and not everybody has the networks and what many times it's required, and many times it's more on the venture capitalist side. We have our biases also from where we're coming from, who we are, where we went to school, and not opportunities are not there necessarily for everyone, despite the talent is everywhere. I see a lot of passion among entrepreneurs also nowadays, and also in terms of financial inclusion and access to financial services, financial capital. So I think it has just become more powerful, and I think probably the biggest motivation I have every day is being able to support, even if it's in a small way, in those entrepreneurs achieving their dreams and making this a better world.
Why don't we just dive right in and say, okay, with all the tremendous background and experience you have in STEM, what is your best tip, your best bit of advice for the next generation of women in STEM?
Well, I think it's just to follow your passion, your dreams, your ambition, what you want to pursue in life. That part might be different now than when I started. I do remember several times being asked, oh, how does it feel to be a woman, working mainly with men? And, a lot of questions on how does it feel to be a woman? And I was very young back then, and I was thinking, well, I never wake up and think, oh, I am a woman. Let me see how my day is going to happen, and what strategy I have today because I'm a woman.
Which color lipstick am I going to wear? Right? It's not the first thing that enters our heads, right?
Exactly. So it always kind of like also make me think, oh, so what people see, of course, it's a woman, but they're not saying me necessarily, or everything that I represent and what I'm made of, And I got this question particularly around, the International Women's Day, and how is it to be a woman, engineer, and all these things. So, I think it is important not to let anything be a barrier to achieve what you want in life, whatever it means. And if you don't see the opportunities, I think we can just create, the opportunities for ourselves.
So Consuelo, talk to us before you founded SV Latam Capital, what the most difficult thing is that you've ever had to go through, whatever you're comfortable sharing, personally or professionally.
Oh, wow. I think I had some very difficult moments in my past. I definitely, it came to my mind when my father passed away. I was very close to my father. And I think I owe him a lot of who I am. And I'm so grateful of all the opportunities and the exposure I had, from a very, very young age, when I used to go to the bakeries and all the sorts of businesses he had while I was growing up. I later found out, realized that he was actually a serial entrepreneur. But definitely it was a big loss, probably the first big loss for me. And then later on, I do have some pain around, I always thought I would have kids. And many times people think that maybe because I'm very ambitious and have been pursuing my career, that's the reason why I didn't have kids. But I actually couldn't see myself without having kids. But, series of circumstances, including a medical malpractice, I was almost died during a surgery, had its consequences. And unfortunately, I had to go through several fertility processes, over years, and several miscarriages. So all that brought a lot of pain, of course. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, indeed. And I don't think it really matters what age we're at when we lose someone that we're close to or when we have a particular personal goal or ambition, and life has other plans for us, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what age we're at. These are difficult to go through. So thank you so much for feeling comfortable enough to share your story.
Thank you. Yes, it probably a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have been able to talk about it so openly. But I think, this might be important also. I think, sometimes we go through deep pain in life and things that, we might think it's not possible for us to overcome, that feel very difficult, and that life is unfair, and you go through all those processes, but then those are big learning opportunities. And at the same time, I think I wouldn't be probably as good, or as I am in what I'm doing now, if it wasn't for all those even negative experiences that I've had in the past. I think, yes.
And I think you're like, again, jumping ahead, and you're just reading my mind. I often ask guests at this stage, it's like, well, would you change anything from your past? Most say no. And I'm hearing that from you. Or am I assuming you wouldn't change anything?
No, I wouldn't change anything, because I mean, even the most difficult things, in my life, I think I am, in a way, very grateful, which I never thought I could be. But it comes from a place of fulfillment and abundance, instead of that that loss. And I think that's always, or probably, yeah, I do think there's the opportunity for that abundance to transform a loss into abundance. Motherhood and all that, it's about creativity, creating value in the world, and that's where I'm kind of like placing all my energy and all that, and I feel very grateful to be able to do that.
And that's right. We're grown-ups. We can define things any way we want, right? It's mindset.
Yes, that's right.
All right, let's turn the tables here. With your role at SV Latam Capital, like you say, you get exposed to all kinds of people who are trying to solve very challenging problems for the planet. Is there a way that our audience can help you, Consuelo?
Yes, of course. I mean, if if you're an entrepreneur that is looking to make a difference, make this a better place, and if it's the environment, if it's health, if it's financial services, future of work, please reach out to SV Latam Capital. We would love to hear more about it. Yes, and just finding great entrepreneurs. That's always our focus as a VC firm.
Fantastic. Last question. If we got a peek into your closet, is there a pair of shoes in there that best represents your personality? And is that pair of shoes boots, stilettos, sneakers, flats, flip-flops, something else? Tell us.
Oh, and I can only pick one pair of shoes. I love shoes.
Yes, you only get to pick one.
That's hard. That's hard. Yeah, I would pick a pair of black boots. I think that's what I would pick. But I cannot live without my trail running shoes. Yeah, either.
Well, very good. So with that, I wanted to say again, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure, Consuelo Valverde, the founder of SV Latam Capital, for being on our show today.
Thank you very much. It has been such a pleasure. And thank you so much for having me.
We're going to direct everyone to the SV Latam Capital website. And don't forget to subscribe to Grit Daily News and the Grit Daily Like a Boss podcast.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?